So we are back at it again in only Grapple, playing the Shady Bets Outpost. Today it's the last with the outpost that I still had recorded, which means that I have to go back to completing every outpost from 32 until 101. I probably will try to maybe be able to do one video every 2 weeks. 1 week might be a bit too stressful because some of the maps can take a lot of time and are often very frustrating if they get very hard. I don't know how hard the last maps will be, but they could be very hard, which is why I'm still uncertain. This map was pretty interesting. I followed mostly the blue arrows here so that I didn't get lost, which I often do. I try to follow the decals that try to indicate some kind of way. It often helps. We find a secret tome down here, which is very interesting. I also think that there might have been a second wave exit. I was thinking about taking it, but I didn't take it because I thought it might be a bit boring to take it if I already haven't died a single time on the map. Maybe going back is more interesting and more fun to do than just a second wave exit. I don't know if it really was a second wave exit, but it probably was. If not, there might have been the other tomes there. It was very close here. I nearly fell into the acid blocks and the corrosive cubes, but yeah, nothing too difficult and stressful in this map, which was very good, which made me not take long. I also updated the map indicator with deaths and fun. I think now I'm pretty happy with how the text is introduced and goes out again. It's a bit more refined, I think, and yeah. This is an interesting entrance because it skips a lot of the outposts, which helps me a lot in this case because there are some more difficult traps that you can avoid that way. There's also this part here which is decently hard when you go out. There's a few things you have to be careful of. There will be a bolt shot and a piston that has the quickfire mod. I can't remember right now what it's called, but the piston that activates very quickly, so you have to trigger the bolt shot and dodge them, which can be very close at times, which is why the exit is a bit more difficult. And also trying to find the exact way I got in to get out again is also not always the easiest, and luckily avoiding some of the things is more in line with what I do, which is why I got very lucky a few seconds back where you saw the plasma bullet go over my head, which should have hit me, probably would have killed me, but everything is fine. The map is finished. As always, I try to bow to the map because that's the way I say good map. Lemon Cove was very easy. There wasn't a lot to be aware of. The design, of course, great as always, but because of the lack of difficulty, it wasn't as fun. And just because I didn't die once, that doesn't just mean that it's bad. It means that I just didn't die and got lucky or something. But there is not a lot of things happening in this outpost, which made it rather boring and bland if you are not exploring everything, and in only Grapple exploring can be somewhat hard, so I avoid doing it, which made it a little bit less fun, but it's still a great outpost. I really enjoy the Shady Bets outposts. If I didn't, I wouldn't play them, which should be obvious by now. I want to complete 101 of them in only Grapple. If I didn't like Shady's maps, I probably wouldn't do it. And yeah, this map has a bolt shot at the entrance that can kill you. It did kill me a few times, I think 3 or 4 times, maybe 2 times, maybe 1 time only. But at least it killed me once, and yeah. with only grapple, it's sometimes hard to dodge some things like this, and the map is, why I didn't give it a more fun rating, is this part here, with the assassins, the warmonger and the enforcer, which nearly solely relies on luck and speed and how to dodge every single of the guards, which mostly is luck, and that's not that fun to do in an only grapple run. I could get rid of the assassins here, which made it a lot more doable and easier. But there are still many dangers. There are still a few plasma sentinels, hornets and ravengers here in this room, which can be dangerous. The ravengers might have been nerfed, but I still think they are a really, really good guard if placed in the right places. Yeah, here I got a bit stuck, so I failed a bit with my grapple, but it happens. Nothing much you can do. Alamos was also an interesting outpost. I didn't expect to die on this outpost at all, because it's a pretty small outpost, but for only grapple it has some setups that can be rather dangerous. But if you find the quick way down and up again, you can mostly ignore the guards, which is very good. And another thing is this bolt shot behind me. You want to trigger it before, because if you go and grab it too fast, you will get shot by the bolt shot without being able to dodge it. The plasma sentinel can also be dangerous there. And yeah, that's basically the map. It's a small map, as I said, but it's still also an open map, which shows that even a small map can be built in an interesting way in a somewhat open and spacious map. And yeah, this map had a little bit of a parkour here, which I appreciated. It made it also look very interesting from a design perspective. The enforcers here, they can be very dangerous if you wait for too long to grapple. For example, if you try to figure out a situation where to go, they will definitely kill you, and so you don't want to wait too long in spots here. The hornets can also make things difficult, but if you time things right, you can do it. There's also bolt shots here, which you have to dodge. I tried to outrun them, that didn't go well. You might be able to outrun them in only grapple, but at this point I didn't want to take the risk and just get out. I like the entrance and exit. It's a neat way to use corrosive cubes and such. Front Royal is the next map, and I always felt like that from the outside it looked bigger than most of Shady maps, but it probably isn't much bigger, if it's even bigger. But it felt always a bit more spacious. And yeah, here you want to be very careful of that piston. If you mistime things, you will be smashed by it, and we do not like being smashed by pistons. Shit. Well, anyways, there's also a few guards here, which can make the exit very frustrating if they move right into the space where you want to go out, because they will nearly instantly hit you. Then there are also two plasma sentinels here that you have to avoid somehow. I just gave it a try and got lucky, so I could get out. There are also assassins, but as long as you are not too long on the same spot, or not on the first layer of the height, you are able to pretty much ignore the assassins. They are dangerous if you are in a block, one block high corridor, but not if you have more space than that, because you can just go over their heads, which is a neat thing. But you still sometimes have to be careful, because their charge can sometimes take longer than you expect. In this map we take again a shortcut to skip a few things, but the real dangerous part is the room with the gen mat, because there are a lot of traps in there that you have to be careful not to activate at the right times, because if you activate them too early, too late, and not dodge them properly, you will die. You also have to wait for the incinerator which can be very difficult. There's also this Ravager that blocks the space that can hit you if you are not careful and get around the corner. And here the most difficult part is figuring out how to get back into the shortcut we took at the beginning. It will take me a few seconds to figure out where to go, but I do figure it out and we are going back up and basically out. There are a few guards in the first room here, but after a while you can figure out how guards react to only grapple, so it's not too hard to find an answer to beat outposts of guards, although guards often rely on luck to get through because they have few weird interactions and enforcers sometimes have better aim, sometimes have worse aim. The same goes for Hornets and Ravagers and Cannonback. Cannonback can also get a sticky bomb on you, basically the grenade sticks to you, which would be very bad. But yeah, this outpost had a small parkour thingy that's not too difficult to get past in any kind of playstyle, but it's still neat that it exists. The most difficult part of this map is probably the Warmonger and the Impaler, because sometimes the Warmonger blocks you so you don't get fast enough to the past the Impaler, so the Impaler will kill you. For example here, sometimes you also don't grapple fast enough, which makes the Impaler hit you as well, or the Warmonger hits you before that. There's a lot that can go wrong with just these two things. But in this run everything went well and we could get finally out of this map. Yes, the next map is already the last map if I remember correctly. It's a small little outpost. It's not as spacious as the other outposts, but it's still a nice one. There are a few traps here and there that could pose a threat in only grapple. But if you see the right safe spots, there's not much you have to worry about. I was checking there if I already was where the bomb ejector was, but the bomb ejector was in this room, which made me realize that I still have to go further. This enforcer can also be dangerous because yes, it blocks you again, and going past any guard can be lethal and only grapple if you are not fast enough to get to a new position that isn't in a straight line. There are also a few things you have to be wary here, so you don't get clawed by the claw or something. But yeah, trying to find the exit is often one of the more difficult parts, and that's all. Thank you for watching. Auf Wiedersehen.